The Minnesota Timberwolves will beat the Denver Nuggets, and they will face the San Antonio Spurs in the next round of the 2026 NBA playoffs. They deservedly did so, and we'll see why. But first, let me remind you that you can find some interesting basketball material, such as my Patreon page, my Instagram page, my exclusive course, and more, all in the video description, so check it out if you want to. But now, let's dive into the video. Minnesota eliminated Denver for their second time in 4 years, but this time they did it in a different way since the last time. First, they won Game 6 without 3 key players like Anthony Edwards, Dante DiVincenzo, and Ayo Dosunmu. These last 2 players were particularly affected, and we can say unexpectedly, at the level that they performed to. In particular, Ayo Dosunmu also played a 43-point game, which is one of the best performances of the bench in the history of the NBA playoffs. But also Little Bird, who usually seemed pretty lost when he faced Nikola Jokic. He played a fantastic series, especially on the defensive end against the MVP candidate. Jaden McDaniels made a big step up too, basically in every aspect. He had a huge impact both on the offensive end and the defensive end of the floor. He taunted his opponents multiple times, but always kept the same energy when he stepped in the court. But he was played with an incredible level of physicality in general, especially on the defensive end. And the Denver Nuggets player who suffered this physicality the most was Jamal Murray. After what was probably his best regular season in his career, everybody expected him to perform at the same level in these players, but he couldn't keep the same level. And this was certainly huge disappointment for the Denver Nuggets fans. The player who underperformed the most compared to his preseason expectations was certainly Nikola Jokic. He got everybody used to unreal statistics and unreal averages, but to be fair, this time he wasn't particularly efficient, despite his usual great numbers in terms of points, rebounds, on the assists. As I said, Gobert played some top-level defense, and this was certainly a big factor in his offensive production, but the Serbian was certainly not at his usual level. The 19.4% from K is the clear signal of his poor form. I don't know if his knee injury has some sort of influence in his career performances, but this was not the Nikola Jokic that we used to see. But what disappointed me the most was the Denver Nuggets supporting cast. Aaron Gordon, when he was on the court, didn't have that much of an impact. We can say the same for Kenan Johnson, who played an underwhelming season in general. Christian Brown was probably the biggest disappointment among the Nuggets supporting cast throughout the series, but also players like Bruce Brown, Tim Hardaway Jr., they weren't positive either. So our first round loss was certainly not the result that the Denver Nuggets have always looked for this season, and this was testified by the fact that they fired David Adelman some hours ago. And I think that this is the best decision. Adelman didn't prove to be at the same level as his roster, coaching-wise. So I think that moving on from him to be a great choice to make a step up in the Denver Nuggets is an ambition. And they also have to face the fact that Nikola Jokic is not that young anymore. So they have to live in a winning project, a win-now project. So I think that overall, this is the correct choice. While talking about the candidates, they might go for an experienced candidate like Taylor Jenkins and Mike Budenholzer, but other than these 2 candidates, I don't think that there are many other experienced coaches that can take the head coaching job at the Denver Nuggets with them playing at this high level. So they might go for a young coach, or maybe someone that doesn't have that much of an experience. I can think about Mike Hanori, Chris King's assistant in Minnesota, but also someone like Chris Cree, who's been Eric Spoelstra assistant in Miami. Also someone like Sam Cassell is going to be soon an NBA coach. But, they might also go for someone that he's coaching right now in college basketball, like Todd Golden, the young head coach of Florida Gators, who won the NCAA championship 2 years ago. Who knows what will happen this summer for the Denver Nuggets, but this might be the biggest summer of the Denver Nuggets in the recent years. While getting back to the playoff picture, the task for the Minnesota Timberwolves will be a really tough one in the next round as they face the San Antonio Spurs. We know that DiVincenzo will be out long term because of his Achilles injuries, but Anthony Edwards might return at some point of this series. So facing the Spurs is a really tough challenge itself. But with all the injuries that Minnesota is dealing with, it will be an even more difficult one. But I mean, it Rudy Gobert and Fontaine, Victor Wembanyama as well. Who knows what this Timberwolves team can do? And that was all for today. If you want to support this channel, you can subscribe to it, or you can interact with this video with a like, comment, head points, or whatever you want. You can also check the description for extra basketball content. And with that said, see you in the next video.